This past August, we were fortunate enough to have a solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse across the country from the Pacific Northwest to the southeast. And this occurs when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, and the moon's shadow is then cast onto the surface of the Earth. This became not only the most viewed eclipse of all time, but also the most shared eclipse. There were many people all throughout the path of totality that were taking video, images of totality, and sharing them out to their networks around the world, which became a global celebration of this type of an event.
It gets darker on the Earth, especially in the path of totality. It actually gets as dark as night. And for those who actually went to the path of totality for this eclipse, they got to see a very dramatic show. It looks like it suddenly becomes nighttime over the course of a few minutes. Solar eclipses happen every 2 to 5 years on the surface of the Earth. This is the only one in recent history, the last few decades, where that path is cut right through the United States. It's the last eclipse that the United States experienced in the 1970s. A lot of people had no idea it was coming, and so suddenly when it went completely dark, there were traffic jams because people were surprised, why did the sun disappear?
There is an amazing sign, a juxtaposition of the constellations Virgo and Leo. It's in Revelation 12:1 and 2, which is a preview of the entire apocalypse. That sign has never occurred before in the last 6,000 years. It's a once-in-human-history event. It may be signaling what is called the end of the 2,000-year church age. This celestial object, known as Planet X, or the Bible calls it wormwood in Revelation chapter 8, it causes most of the damage of the trumpet judgments. Now, it doesn't destroy the whole earth. It only impacts 1/3 of the earth. The book of Revelation actually says it will land in a sea, so it's going to land either in one of the 3 oceans facing the sun. The world's coastal areas are going to be flooded and destroyed. It starts a 7-year clock ticking. And as you notice, we've already had an acceleration. We've had $250 billion worth of damage by 2 hurricanes. We've had these high Richter scale earthquakes in Mexico. A lot's going to happen in that 7 years. Everything is going to happen.
To have the shadow of the moon and have the entire sun blocked out, it does have its roots back in mythology, that this is a special, unique event.
Past cultures have seen the eclipse as being a frightening thing. The Aztecs and Incas would occasionally hold human sacrifices very quickly, make sure the sun comes back. I know certain cultures in India used to bang drums, and fairly common was chanting or praying when the eclipse happens, and everyone would drop what they're doing. I guess there's 2 ways of looking at why people want some complete destruction, right? They don't really want it, but why they think it should happen. And one of them is it's a narrative thing. If you're thinking of the world as being a story, it makes sense that there should be an end to the story. Many religions predict the end of the story. Look to especially the book of Revelations in the Bible. The only Catholic priest that I've ever talked to about Revelations says that the stance of the Catholic Church is that it's an allegory. The entire thing is not meant to be taken literally, and it's more of a coded message to other Christians.
Well, if they're trying to really justify their beliefs, I think the eclipse would actually have to do something to change Earth as we know it. And it doesn't. There's not a whole lot to be said in terms of empirical evidence of any sort of doomsday following an eclipse, particularly not the last few eclipses that have happened, or even the one from the 1970s that came across the United States.
Now, there's nothing special about the moon going between the Earth and the sun that would change the properties of some planet somewhere else in the solar system and reveal some new planet that would have previously gone undetected. Any planet that's orbiting within about Saturn's orbit should be easily detectable because it should be reflecting enough light. It's close enough to the sun that it should be reflecting enough light that we'd be able to see it. But in terms of a new planet showing up somewhere near the Earth out of the blue, it wouldn't work because we should have detected it by now. Even if it was on its way and we haven't detected it, the effects of its gravity should be apparent if it's anywhere near the inner planets.
NASA discovered it in 1983 with the infrared satellite. And in fact, the 4 big newspapers, the New York Times and the Post among them, wrote articles about it. From that point forward, I've had evidence that the elite and the government have built over 100 deep underground military bases for protection. From that point on, the government started preparing and the public received a major blackout. It's a major cover-up by NASA. and they know everything, and nobody else, the 99%, they know nothing. Well, it's not going to sneak up to the South Pole Telescope. You know, it's not going to sneak up to the Vatican's secret observatory on Mount Graham. They're watching it in infrared right now. I have a friend who's seen it through the Hubble. I have pictures of it by an astronomer in Paris who worked at a multinational observatory. I have pictures of it from a colleague, Marshall Masters. I would say it'll probably approach 10 to 14 million miles away.
In this case, people have been trying to understand the world around them since there's been human thought. And this is a way, through stories and through teachings, that we've been able to understand how we came to be and what that could possibly mean for us.
It's okay that people believe what they want to believe, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. And so, in the case of an apocalyptic prediction, if everyone just goes and camps out waiting for the end of the world that doesn't come, that's okay. But if they decide that they need to start tearing down society in order to fulfill their prophecy, their prediction, then we have a problem. But as long as they're not trying to hurt anyone else or require other people to believe things the way they do, then they're entitled to believe whatever they want.